All right, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto as we're in still the group stages here. A little bit of a delay caused by one of our players' booths malfunctioning for a second. I'm here. Hi. You couldn't hear me before out in the crowd. Maybe you can hear me on the stream. Regardless of the fact, the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto, we're back. I'm repeating it for all you guys out there. We had a little bit of a malfunction with one of our players' booths, and as such, we just needed our player first to feel as comfortable as possible before he got into this match. I know you are very, very keen on having the right conditions to play, so that's an important thing, I think.
I was thinking about making a joke.
I beat you to
They have an AC. They have an AC in the room. They got nothing to complain about, man.
Yeah. Hey, it's
Back
nice
in the
here.
old times.
Oh yeah. You went loud AC.
We had a few struggles. In the first series that these two played, they played on Overgrowth and King Sejong Station. They're going to be the first two maps here in this series, so it's going to be interesting to see how they change up their play from there, what game plan is, in particular first, because SOS, I can kind of expect the same thing, you know, just like some standard opener with double gas, a Stalker, Mothership Core, some scout for proxies at first, and then an actual scout across the map upon making the 70 score, or right after. And from there, I mean, SOS is capable of many things, but I feel like the best builds of each player are not the same. Like, for example, I would say first, be it at expanding or Stargate, I think he's much more likely to do it than SOS, and he's better at it. Whereas SOS is that guy who will play with the Twilight a lot, be it Blink or with some DTs.
Yeah, SOS is the guy that can really mix games up. He almost brings a different game to every single match, which is the scary thing about this guy. He has so many builds under his belt. So Overgrowth is going to be our first map between these two. One of them will advance on to the round of 8, so guaranteed at least another Protoss there. Happy times for Todd over here as we are gearing up for our first game. So let's get into things. One of these guys is going to the round of 8. Overgrowth is our map. Spawning up to the top right-hand corner, we have our red Protoss. He is the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2013 champion. It is first. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss. Arguably the world champion, it's SOS.
The last time that they played on this map, it was the time that first tried to go for a quick expansion. And SOS opened with just some Blink Stalkers. He went for the Blink with a Sentry first and then a Stalker. The Sentry allowed him to go for a Scout, see exactly what he was up against. He missed the Stargate though. He only saw there was a Nexus and 3 gates, and he was like, well, you know what? It's go time, I'm just gonna attack and make sure I get some detection behind this and get a lot of Stalkers. And he did a ton of damage and won from there. So now first, being aware that SOS can go for this kind of build and just be very aggressive. He's just not going to sit back necessarily often or all the time, or ever, actually. He might need to open on something like a one-base build, you know, be it a Stargate or a Twilight, and then from there later on go into an expansion. Taking a quick expansion against a player as good as SOS is very risky. If he sees it early enough, he's almost always going to be able to counter it well.
Yeah, he's a scary guy, scary individual. SOS is already placing his piling up the top left here. Not only giving him good vision up there, but also having the ability to hide some tech. We also see 2 gases coming out for first, with only 1 from SOS so far. So what do you make of this, Todd?
I think he's just going to delay it. I don't think he's going to do some kind of super aggressive build, even though with SOS, like, you never know. You know, he's such a hard guy to read, even when you're actually observing his games. So I'm thinking gas right after, it's going to be gas after core. And MC, you know, he was mentioning, I was having a chat with him and he told me that he and First, you know, they follow obviously the Korean scene, they watch the best players out there, and they both thought, watching a lot of SOS's games, that SOS may have the best PvP in Korea. That's what they thought. It's their opinion. So going into this match, MC prepared with First, and he said himself, he lost the last 11 maps that he played against First. So he was really looking forward to how it will go in their match and who would win. They played the first time, SOS 1-2-0. Now there is a rematch. Both players are really insane, I think, in PvP, and it's very hard to predict, I feel, who's going to win. Like, on paper, SOS is the favorite, but First is capable of such good things which somehow he didn't do in the first series that they played in.
Yeah, thankfully for first he gets in, has a look around, sees the extent to which is being built up here, and the two gateways down there. But overall, has only seen that one pylon down to the bottom with a second one. But with a 2-gate opener like this, how much can you really do with a pylon on the map just yet?
Yeah, I think if he goes for 3 Stalkers and Mothership Core Rush, and first misreads it somehow, that could do a lot of damage, but I don't think that first is the guy to really misread. You see double chrono boost going down now on the gateways. And SOS, he has a choice for a transition. He could go for the 3rd gate, which is a bit of an MC build. Remember, MC used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
So this might play in first favor if he has had a lot of practice against this, if he's able to anticipate it, and now he has scouted the double gateways of his opponent, he might be able to do really well against this. And he goes into Blink, and I really like this. Because now, the take of SOS is going to be so late, and even if he attacks, like say go for another gate, and then do a 3 gateway, Blink will always finish by the time Photon Overcharge ends. So
now, I mean, Blink play here in PvP, do you feel that this is a really good go-to almost all around, as long as you're defensively good back at home? Do you think it's like...
Yeah. Ooh, that Stalker first needs to go back home.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Took a little bit extra damage there than he should have been doing micro towards the Stalkers.
This is big, and he has a Stalker stuck out on the map now. I might just go for a counter-attack with this one, trying to hide a probe outside first. I realizes that the Stalkers might still be there, so he's going to pull back. And SOS goes into an expansion behind. This is so weird. SOS going for the double gate pressure, and then with the way things went, he just adjusted. He's like, well, you know what? I lost my probe. I can't proxy any pylon. I can't be any more aggressive than that, so I'm just going to get a sentry. And my opponent is probably playing super defensive because it looked like it was going to be a big aggression.
Yeah.
So I'll start a Nexus, which is probably going to be much earlier than my opponent's Nexus. But the roles are reversed. Actually, the positions are reversed from their first game that they played on this map. And now the roles are reversed. And I think his first was going to be attacking with 3 gateway Stalkers.
Yeah.
And in that previous game, the 3 gateway Stalkers won. So we'll see here what first can do with it. Oh my god, the pylon. This is a big deal here.
He saw the probe heading down from there, goes back and sees the pylon now as well. He knows the extent to which it's finished and has to be careful, because in the middle of the map, if he were to try and start working on that, he would have been caught by those units. So good choice by SOS to retreat up the ramp to start defending this location. And there's an Immortal on the way as well. If he can buy time for that.
There's no way to have vision of that ramp, by the way, here for first. So I think Photon Overcharge is going to be forced. And what happened in the first game was SOS forced the Photon Overcharge on the natural, then blinking in the main. And there wasn't enough in the main to really help them defend against those Blink Stalkers. So he started sniping units left and right. And then from there, he just did really well. But remember, in the previous game that they played, first, on top of going for Nexus and expansion, he went for Stargates, which is kind of bad against Blink Stalkers because he was making Void Rays and all that. Whereas now, we have Immortals being made. And Immortals, they are great against Blink Stalkers. I mean, right now, on paper, SOS is doing very, very well. And I think he's in a great position. I don't think he's going to take much damage. And first, I really wonder, is he going to commit to this? Or does he try and expand?
I mean, even if he tries to expand now, his Nexus is so far behind, right? There's already one Immortal out to defend against this. Second Immortal is about to pop. The Stalkers are going to try and poke forwards. They know they need to do a bit of damage here to kind of equalize things up. But SOS right now is solid. And this Nexus for first is just going to be very, very delayed.
If first waits for like 2 more rounds of Stalkers, he would have enough to really like one-shot those Immortals. Actually, nice hallucination on one of those, getting targeted as well, so that's not going to do much. And the Nexus starts back at home for first. I think, even though there's one more Nexus for SOS, there isn't that many probes, and I think first knows that.
Yeah, I had to cut, I guess, to actually get the good defense
he's trying to cut off the army.
Ooh, but the force fields, they didn't really work out in the end too well. Gets a few Stalkers at the front though for his troubles. Actually catches a few units here as well, but they can blink out. The Sentry was the big pickup there for SOS as he just pulls on back to the safety of now 3 Immortals.
Yeah, SOS just in a great position. Altogether, he's going to get an Observer behind this because he wants to deny the Observer of first, which is actually right now on top of the Robo of SOS. Observers are going to meet, man.
Yep, and quickly stray away from one another. The 3 Immortals just cannot be contested with right now, so they're going to kill off that pylon. He may, if he was to try and blink in there and do some damage to that would have been a bit scary. Yeah,
I think he would have lost way too much, not be cost effective at all. And SOS is now on 73 probes to 58. Usually 2 base versus 2 base, you always see the Forges go down, and that's exactly what SOS is going to throw down. In a little bit of a funky position. Actually, the Forge, you know, like if it gets dropped by War Prism, the first thing that will get sniped.
Yeah. The army does get spotted in the middle, though. The Observer was never killed off, I don't think, from first, so he can still try and look for little opportunities to exploit with that, but still, Another Immortal is out for SOS. His army is gathering a huge amount of momentum. It's going to be up to First to like contain for quite a while with his Stalkers.
First is in such a tough spot. Like, how do you transition out of this? You could go into Charge Loss and Archons and try and take a third base or even do a 2 base, but then SOS, I'm pretty sure, will see it and prepare the wall off that you need to be able to hold this kind of attack. He could go into Colossus. I feel like this is maybe one of the better choices, but SOS already having as many Immortals as he has, he has so much choice to basically pick from. He's just going to scout with Hallucination, like 2 base versus 2 base scenario. You get 2 to 3 sentries, like right now both players, I think we have 2 for First and 3 for SOS. They're just going to scout with Hallucination and adjust, make sure they don't get surprised, especially in SOS's case because he's still ahead.
Well, First can try and take a risk, go for the third base very, very quickly here, which, again, considering his position with his army composition and his ability to really do anything, this isn't too bad an option, I don't feel.
And that means he has to go into Charge and Archons later on. We're probably going to see a big gateway explosion happen soon. SOS, though, he's done such a good job of scouting. He has an observer, actually, just right above that Twilight Council of his opponent.
So he's whirring away.
To see what he's up against. I think it's smart to try and take a third when you have Blink like this much earlier than your opponent. Good snipes here by First, by the way.
Yeah.
SOS, I wonder, actually, he could have just all in. Because we see the gateway explosion happening for him too. And it's so funny, if you look at the production tab, they are basically making the same. Gateways, Charge, +1. But SOS's +1 is going to be earlier, and he's going to have way more units because he's not taking a third base. Yeah. Well, I guess now he is, but...
And also, SOS doesn't really have full knowledge that his opponent is being this quick about his third base. Finally, SOS has got his down, knowing that his army is just too much for First to contend with right now. But First will slowly kind of get himself back into this, I feel, if the third base goes undeterred. He just has to be careful about that Immortal backbone that is going to be in SOS's composition, because that's very scary.
SOS, if he has the timing, it's not going to be a very long one that he can go for, because right now... Oh, those Templars! Oh. Templars! One Templar getting sniped, and Archon at least being morphed. Cool blink up. Oh, we almost got a mushroom. First, knowing that he has a much earlier third that he's going to be able to saturate quickly, he went up to 10 gateways against just... And I'm going to say just 8 for SOS, which is still a lot. So, as I was saying, the timing is going to expire quickly. And I don't think SOS actually has any plan to attack now. But he does have a much quicker +2 here. So he's going to go into the later stage of the game.
Nice blink there, actually. Could have been a bit scary to get one of those, or 2 of those Stalkers caught on the wrong side of the rocks.
You know, those Stalkers, essentially, they keep SOS pinned back at home, because as soon as he moves out, he could get counter-attacked.
Exactly, of course. I mean, that was a long charge by that Zealot. It was a very, very like old style of PvP, right, where you would have Blink Stalkers and you would just keep containing your opponent for a long time. And this probe nicely spots that Warp Prism down to the bottom right. Good spot there by First.
First is going up to 12 gateways, by the way, against the just 8 of SOS. So I'm starting to think we might have a timing in the plans here, because look at SOS is not even adding any more of those gateways. He's actually supply block right now. 126 again on...
Well, he's almost shepherded this entire army across the other side of the map as well, so he's slowly kind of making his way over there, which is kind of cool, but he's going to face a big, big army from First.
And First is going pure Charge Lot, Archon, no Immortal at all, whereas we have a lot of Immortals out of SOS, so I think First he's in a great position. Somehow he's recovered. With that quick third, he used the Stalkers to buy himself time. And it's really going to come down to that Warp Prism by SOS to make something happen to recover. Because he's starting to pull really far ahead in army here. And if you look at the third base, he has a well-saturated one against SOS's third base that does not even have gases yet. No, so he's going to have so many more Archons.
I mean, ultimately, the composition of First, if he actually gets a good engagement, those Immortals aren't really going to do a whole lot here, though. SOS is going to try and hit in 2 places, going with the Warp Prism on the right-hand side. The cannon already there to try and defend against it. Blinks forwards, does First to defend the left-hand side. Army supply in favor of First here as he continues to try and hold on against this. His Zealots were caught up a little bit during that engagement at the back, though. Really not doing the big, big damage that they want to do, but the Archons still hold on strong, and SOS is plummeting in supply. The third has really paid off for First here, as well as the amount of gateways he has to reinforce as well.
12 gateways really helping in possibly holding this. The Photon of the Charge is going to buy him some time here. The drop in demand with the Warp Prism was defended thanks to a cannon there and the warping of Zealots by First, who's now really starting to get out of control in terms of supplies. He's 30 supply ahead, Kylars.
Yeah, that's really, really good here for First. He did lose his Mothership Core during all of that, has to replenish that. But now we see the next plan of SOS to try and break First, which is the robot At this point, with first gateways, could he not try and go for an attack himself, or do you think that would be difficult?
But it's good for SOS that he kept the Immortals alive, even though they are not that great in those fights, as long as he has them, or like he fights in a good position and he's back at home. If he can take to Colossus somehow and get a few out, he's going to do well against this kind of army of like pure charge lots, Immortal, actually no Immortal, and Archons, which is all first is doing.
Well, killing that pylon down to the bottom right is a good start here for SOS to make sure he doesn't get harassed. Looking for a bit of opportunity with that Warp Prism as well. Needs to be using Stalkers to really hunt that down, because Archons aren't going to anytime soon.
I think SOS is about to be attacked by the same thing it just did. Because since first just made a Warp Prism, I think he's just going to drop in the main of SOS, make sure he warp in a lot of units there, and attack with the main army at the third base. This is one way you can go for an attack, a well-planned attack in PvP. You don't attack with just everything, because then it makes it easier for your opponent to defend. You're hoping for a mistake in your opponent's main. And see, he's warping in the Zealots for the Warp Prism now.
And I mean, in the end, the Colossus numbers just haven't got rolling yet. Yes, there's one out, but he's at the moment adding on the second Robo facility, as well as another Colossus coming in just a bit. But that's not enough really to defend against this army. They don't even have Thermal Lance.
Yeah. The Warp Prism is going to fly into the main of SOS. He needs to warp in Zealots quickly. He warps in Stalkers. He's going to try to go for the Warp Prism. I guess this is smart. He's going to get it, but the Zealots, though,
yes,
is it going to be enough?
Meanwhile, on the right-hand side of this map, the Zealots and the Archons trying to move on forwards here, looking for an opportunity to bring down this third base. 103 army supply against 85. Zealots still doing quite a bit. He's actually focusing down the Nexus. Is he actually going to get this? He just doesn't want to take the straight-up engagement at all. He wants that Nexus. Photon Overcharge would be gone if that's always going down. And there he does fall down. SOS now with a crippled economy, trying to get away from all of those Zealots, powering through on with the Archon support as well. First has played this first game out really, really well.
Yeah, SOS tried to delay the fight as long as possible. He actually has a bunch of Colossi on the way behind this. He's even getting +3. If he somehow can complete that, he might have a chance. But look at first. He has such an overwhelming army. He's just going to go for the fight, try and trade this. And behind this, he has his target on the way. Could take to Tempest as well.
One Colossus out in the front there, a little bit vulnerable. Now it's 3 Colossi. Should be able to push this away for just a little bit.
Don't chase too far, SOS.
Yeah, he has to actually use this position to his advantage. Look how big First's army is with all of those Archons and Zealots. He's gonna retreat back for now, because he knows that his 2 Stargates with the economy he has should be enough to be able to win him out the game.
Can even get some skill raise if he wants to.
Some Void Rays, we like those. Well.
SOS stepping too far out of position here. I think if he's not careful, he's just going to get crushed in the middle of the map. +3 finally starts here for First, who's getting the Fleet Beacon. Obviously, against Colossus, you need to get some of the snappers. But to be honest, his army is just so overwhelming. I think he's just going to turn around and smack down this army of SOS.
Yeah, imagine if he'd have actually spread it out whilst he was retreating out, but he's just going to go for it anyway. Those Zealots charging on forwards. A big Zealot warping from the bottom as well here. If he tries to pincer this army, he just needs to buy a little bit of time, try and get on top of it from another angle. But he's already up in terms of supply so far.
Oh,
here come the reinforcements. Yeah, if he just gets on top of this, then he is going to be completely fine. The Colossi doing as much as they possibly can do and trying to equalize things up, and actually, you know, not doing too bad. But in the end, with SOS losing all of this, he doesn't have any ground support for these Colossi.
I can't believe SOS somehow dealt so well with this army. Like,
Colossus
he was a dead man walking, and somehow he traded, and he's leaving the fight with 4 Colossi alive. I mean, he has no third base. He's still in a lot of trouble.
Exactly.
He lost a ton of probes. He's down to 23.
Having no economy is not the best situation here for SOS, despite taking that fight well.
First realized that basically SOS has no economy. He's like, well, you know what? I don't even need Tempest. I'm just going to get some Void Rays.
Yeah.
Have some fun. Teach you respect. The Void Rays themselves.
I mean, anything at this point here for First is going to do a lot of damage, because he has an economy and his opponent doesn't. Even if he just warps in Zealots, they'll eventually filter through to a Colossus army that has no fundamental base. It has no ground support, really, from a few Zealots and an Archon. I mean, what are going to deal with those Void Rays? That Archon, this next Archon, they're going to get killed off before they can even get to the Void Rays. Just charging up on the Colossi as well. There you go, GG. First takes game number 1 here against SOS, the world champion.
That went a lot better than their first series, let me tell you. After he had a lot of trouble with the initial proxy they did on King Sejong Station, and then got completely countered when he tried to expand on Overgrowth. This time he was the one being the aggressor. And even though it looked pretty bad at first, to be honest, he was on Blink Stalkers. I really feel like SOS missed an opportunity here to take a clear win. He made way too many immortals, didn't really have a plan, didn't do the best job of scouting with the hallucinations. And in the end, just such a much quicker third for first allowed him to come back with a very precise plan. He went up to 12 gateways so fast against just 8, and it makes a world of difference. In that attack too, like SOS, he attacked just at the moment the supply of first was going to start completely taking off, but in the end it was still too late.
Yeah, I really love the decision-making there of first in that initial game. In the end, taking that third, when you have the Stalkers to keep your opponent dancing, is a great move to use in a Protoss versus Protoss. We're going to be getting into game number 2 in a second here. King Sage on Station, by the looks of things, was our second map as we get loaded up.
It's funny that the 2 previous maps that they played in the first series are again the first 2 maps that they're going to play here now. And the last time that they played on King Sejong Station, first was the one to try and proxy a Stargate. And it's funny because SOS hit a Stargate himself, but just right outside of his base. On King Sejong, you know, you can get that one pylon that kind of oversees, kind of oversees like a corner of your base. So he went down there with a probe, made a Stargate, and I guess he got quite fortunate because with the Mothership Core, you know, you can scout around where you think there could be something like a proxy target, and he found first this proxy target immediately. So I mean, once you scout it, he just going to boost it out. Phoenixes and Stalkers made sure he held, and then from there it was just unlosable.
All right, well, we're getting loaded up now. Game number 2. First is 1 game away from advancing on to the round of 8 against SOS, the world champion, who is down here. We expect so much from SOS whenever we see him play. Let's get into it. Game number 2 now, as we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner. It's our Red Protoss, currently 1 game up, representing TCM. It is first. And up to the top left-hand corner, it's our blue Protoss, representing Jin Air Green Wings. It is SOS!
SOS, who's actually definitely not in the safe zone in terms of WCS points. He's currently ranked 14th, and he has only 15 more points than the rank 16, which is Snoot. So, I mean, those last few places, I'm sure they're going to be overcome in terms of points very soon with all the players that are trying really hard to qualify for the global finals. So he needs to score more points here. Definitely needs to go further in this tournament.
Yeah, very heavily contested at the moment.
He's still in the GSL, so he could score some points there as well. He's in a pretty tough group, though. Rain, Effort, and Solar, but here, up against first. Definitely needs that win to move on and face life. I
mean, let's face it, Todd. When you look at the lineup of first versus SOS, who do you expect to win?
SOS?
Of course, like that's what people think, right? He comes, he plays in the Korean region. He's in the top 16 of GSL. He won the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship last year for $100,000. He won BlizzCon for $100,000. When you look at a guy like SOS going up against a guy like First had some pretty good runs, but not to the caliber of SOS's. Now he is 1 game away from elimination, and First is bringing out in this series.
Yeah, he's definitely taken some time, you know, to go back on what happened in the previous series that they played, really think hard on what would be the best openers as far as trying to counter SOS. And he's done a lot better in that first game with the Blink playing to third base. You know, the initial opener wasn't going very well, but it's also a case of misfortune, because even if you see somebody expanding, you don't necessarily know that they're going to go into a robo behind it. It could be a Stargate, which in First's case, you know, was what happened basically the first time that they played. He took a chance. You can't really know what you're going to be up against. And SOS hadn't even seen the Stargate, that he already decided he was going to do a 3 gates blink, basically massive pressure / all-in. So sometimes you need to take chances, and SOS again is going for the double gateway, which should be seen on time here by First, who's going for a quick Stargate. Just 1 Stalker and then a quick Stargate. Very, very quick Stargate.
And I think the thing that's really scary about what SOS does with these 2 gateways is that last game, he didn't even go for the aggression after the initial 3 Stalkers. He was fine. Well, the pylon was denied, obviously, from the probe up to the top left. But, you know, he has options. That's the big thing about it. If SOS First goes in there now, saw it, obviously, and then now knows... He
didn't see the Stargate.
Oh, but yeah, SOS doesn't see the Stargate.
He missed it. He didn't go all the way down. You can't really know where the buildings are going to be, so he just had to walk in the middle line and actually missed that. This is a big deal here. If he gets too cheeky here, he goes across the map, somehow still doesn't see it, and an Oracle flies into his main. Because look, he's even moving in position with the Mothership Core. A recall could be forced on that. A quick Stargate like this can be Phoenixes, but most of the time it's going to be a quick Oracle.
Probe already down to the bottom left-hand corner as well here, looking to touch that watchtower, get a bit more vision.
Third gateway here for SOS, who's going to commit a lot to this Stalker aggression here.
This is exactly what I wanted to say before. You know, he has options. If he wants to commit to it further, he can do. And first right now is, well, he sees a Stalker out in the front of the map. He's got to be careful.
I mean, whoever makes even the slightest mistake here is just going to lose instantly. And I really feel like first, there is a much bigger chance he's going to be the one that makes the mistake, because literally losing that first Stalker can make him lose the game. Basically, it's a scenario of SOS going to move up the ramp, force the photon overcharge, pull back, wait until photon overcharge expire, then get in there and try and kill first immediately.
Yeah.
But that Oracle that was unseen, the gateways of SOS are not even morphed yet. If he warps in Stalkers across the map, he loses basically like 10 probes instantly.
Exactly. It could time out really badly for him, but perfectly it does time out. Now that the Oracle enters there, he can warp in back at home if he really wants to.
He's not doing it. What is he doing?
He's pulling away. He does finally warp in there, but the gateways, that could have gone really badly for him if that Oracle had got there just a little bit slower. 8
kills, Skylar. 13 probes now for SOS to 25 for First, who's looking great in this second game.
I mean, the damage he just did there also, it puts a really big dent in his aggression. How do you keep warping in Stalkers? Now that First has a better economy, getting a Void Ray out as well
and
to deal with this.
I wonder actually, is it Blink or is it for DTs? Like, DTs could be a good choice. He knows his opponent is low on econ, and he knows that he's going to be able to know, to figure out whether there is a robo or not. And most of the time, when you're on Stargate tech like this against the 3 gateways and you kill that many probes, nobody's really going to expect DT as a follow-up, so he could really try and surprise his opponent. Was he to go for that? But First moving out of position now. Oh my god, he's going to get time.
Oh, he can focus down that Void Ray. That goes down, and now the Stalkers are just completely pinned in here. This could go okay for SOS still. He is losing Stalkers. Very, very even numbers at this point. That Zealot at the front did a little bit to tank. He's trying to get that Mothership Core. If he could get that, he'd know he'd have the high ground advantage and lack of vision for First.
He lost so much. There is no photon overcharge yet for First. Back at home, 4 Stalkers to 4 Mothership Core up for both players, but a Zealot for SOS as well.
Gonna try and press the issue here. Did he need to go out that far? I mean,
the Oracle's coming back in across the map. We have actually, he's gotta wait a little bit. I guess he's busy going back at home.
Come off the line. He really needs to hold on against this for Army. He knows he needs to do something. Photon overcharge is almost about to complete. GG though. The Oracle did too much over the other side, and First advances on to the round of 8. Not only that, but he eliminates the world champion from the Intel Extreme Masters Toronto. What a performance.
Really great play. You know, as much as he got fortunate in the second game with in terms of build order, the first game he was the one that got unfortunate and recovered somehow. So very, very good play out of him, and I'm very impressed. And I think he's going to be a good matchup up against Life later on in the quarterfinals.
And unfortunately for First, during WCS Europe, he is out of that, but still alive here, trying to accrue points. It's very difficult for him to get to BlizzCon at this point, being out of WCS Europe. So for him, it's about the money, it's about the prestige, it's about the championship here in Toronto. But these are the kind of plays and level of plays that we expect from First, having previously done well in the Korean region, and now transitioning over to Europe.
I think he First definitely did his homework last night. And if you look at those games, just the way he played it, just so much more calm and collected. Wasn't trying to take gambles at all. He was just saying, hey, I'm ready to go head-to-head, toe-to-toe with you, SOS. I'm not going to try anything special this time. I mean, obviously, PvP, you always have to try stuff to some extent. You're obviously hoping to get lucky, but even the one game that he didn't have the best start in on Overgrowth, he somehow had all the right moves. That third base, going up to 12 gateways, he plays it any differently, and it can become a very, very different game.
Yeah. Oh, you're right about that. You're right about that. First, showing that he's no pushover in this matchup, which is very, very good for him. And that means now we only have 1 series left before we know our entire round of 8. So,
which right now has 2 Terrans, 2 Protosses, and 3 Zergs.
Awesome race balance, awesome race balance. So that really does it for that series. We have 1 more to go before we find out who the last player is going to be moving on in this tournament.
Thank you, James. Yes, MC and Flash is coming up next, but first let's catch up with First. No, that wasn't meant to be a pun, but it ended up being a pun. Congrats for a fantastic match. I mean, SOS, World Champion, BlizzCon Champion, Intel Extreme Masters Champion, and you just made it look easy.
자, 일단 김유진 선수 같은 경우에는 이제
네.
빛가이죠.
네.
큰 대회 아니면은 뭐 그렇게 큰 대회라는 큰 대회는 다 써먹는. 근데 이제 김유진 선수를 뚫고 올라왔는데 너무 쉽게 2대 0으로 기분이 어떠세요?
저 솔직히 처음에 자신 없었는데 어떻게 시작하니까 그 에어컨에 물 떨어졌잖아요. 그거에 대해서 그것 때문에 약간 좀 화가 난 것도 있고 그래서 긴장이 좀 풀려서 그런지 저번보다는 쉽게 안 졌던 것 같아요.
Going up against SOS before earlier today in the morning, I was really nervous. I wasn't too sure if I was able to win or not. I was very nervous, but a little technical incident with cooling water dropping on my gear. I was super pissed, and that pissed off mood I think got me into chewing off SOS in the 2-0 victory.
I like that, though. That's good, right? So what we need to do for the next game is blow your stuff up with fire.
그럼 이제
and then upset you again, and then you'll play really well.
이번 경기하기 전에는 에어컨 물 떨어져서 좀 화도 나고 짜증이 났었는데 그럼 그 다음 경기에 뭐 더 성적도 잘 내게 하려면 아예 장비를 그냥 폭발을 시키면 되겠네. 폭발잼?
그것도 나쁘지 않을 것 같긴 한데 게임을 해야 되니까 끝나고 뭐 물을 맞든 하는 게 나을 것 같아.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
But I need to play the game, so I don't know how it would work if you actually blow up my stuff.
All right, well, we won't do that. That's okay. You and your teammate Yoda joined TCM Gaming very recently, and you're both now in the quarterfinal, and that's great for the team. They must be thrilled with you two. Must be very happy.
팀에 이제 새로 들어가자마자 둘 다 이제 최병현 선수랑 같이 8강을 올라간 건가? 그치? 8강을 가고 했는데 이제 기분 얘기 좀 해주세요. 기분이 어떤지.
일단 저희를 뭐 서포트 해주는 팀이 생겼다는 거에 대해서 확실히 더 기분이 좋고 그다음에 그거에 대해서 더 성적을 내야 된다는 생각에 좀 확실히 더 열심히 해서 8강에 올라온 것 같아요.
부담감보다는 이제 팀이 생겨서 좀 마음 편해진 것도 좀 없지 않아 있죠. First of all, like I said yesterday, I want to thank the team, TCM, for picking me up. And obviously, when a player goes into a team, you do get pressure. But players like Yoda and I, who've not been a part of the team for such a long time, having that kind of support, knowing the support means a lot, and it's a great reliever to focus purely on the game.
Yeah, cool. Great victory. Let's also talk about Toronto. What are these guys like? What have you enjoyed about Toronto so far?
토론토 처음 오신 거 맞죠?
네.
토론토 어떤 것 같아요? 이제 캐나다 이제 팬들이랑 그리고 저희 이제 맛있는 것도 먹으러 다니잖아요.
확실히 유럽과는 다른 뭔가 넓은 세상인 것 같고 그다음에 뭔가 길거리 다닐 때마다 뭔가 영화에 보는 것처럼 진짜 똑같은 것 같고 확실히 아메리카 좋은 것 같아.
여긴 캐나다인데?
그러니까 북미.
I got the last bit as well. That was funny.
Yeah. So I like it a lot here. The weather has been pretty nice. The crowd, obviously, but aside from all this StarCraft, things that I've been doing outside of this venue, like walking down the streets, food, and everything, just seems like I'm in a movie set.
Right.
And obviously, that's all thanks to myself for taking them out.
Yeah, because you've been taking them all around, haven't you? Yeah, good guy James here, helping out the StarCraft pros. Thank you very much. First, congratulations once more, and good luck in your quarterfinal.
Thank you.
First, they're winning his knockout game. We've got one more to go, and it's another rematch. It's MC versus Flash coming next.